Welcome back to the Funker 530 Combat Footage Review. I'm late, I know, but tap on the like button, drop a comment in the chat to let me know where you're here from, and it's good to see you. Happy Friday. Here we go. I'm still getting everything set up. What's up? Welcome in from Nigeria. What's up, Ronnie? What's going on, brother? Still in Stafford. That's good. Florida on station. Welcome in from Florida, South Carolina. Ohio, Nebraska, Montana, Canada. From Kingman. I don't even know where that is. What's going on? Hi, Ronnie. Hello. Newfoundlanders. I don't know, man. I don't know. Netherlands, what's up? Virginia. Nice, I like it. Well, welcome back to the Funker 530 Combat Footage Review. I'm just going to kill the music and get going for this evening. Thanks very much once again for your patience. It's SHOT Show week, or at least preparation for SHOT Show week, and both of my 9 to 5s care very much about SHOT Shows, so I had to start a little bit late and then ran into a whole litany and boatload of technical issues trying to start the stream tonight, but we're here because there's always tons of footage from the worldwide world of warfare for us to cover, and we're going to be covering quite a bit. Before I get there, though, I need to say thank you very much to our sponsor. You guys know our sponsor very well. It's Venture Surplus, and I realize that I'm already doing my job poorly. Going to pop that up for you. You guys get 10% off using code FUNKER530 over at Venture Surplus. Like I mentioned last stream, though, that code has changed. It used to be FUNK10. It is now FUNKER530. So use the link that we have down there for you guys and go get your 10% off of anything that you need in the MilSerp line of stuff. 10% off of MREs, 10% off of first aid kits, 10% off of assault packs, of LBEs, of those really dope, drippy Vietnam load-bearing vests. You know the ones. Yeah. 10% off for you. We don't make any additional money when you use that. Entirely yours. Let's talk about what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to see some updated footage coming out of the Tishreen Dam. Now, the reason I bring that up is last week we covered footage from the Tishrin Dam, but the fight is still absolutely roaring there between the SDF and the Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army, TFSA. We'll also see some footage from Ukraine, obviously. I'm going to take you over Tour de Russia, where Ukraine launched one of its probably largest drone swarms into Russia in multiple oblasts. I think we're going to cover 5 or 6, maybe 7 different oblasts where there are oil refineries and refueling points on fire, probably even right now. A lot of fires going on in Russia at the moment. But we will also have an intermission, so you guys can see a little bit of really awesome footage coming out of California. But let's get started for this evening. Now, there are a couple caveats as we start moving here. One of the technical issues I was trying to work through was getting the map set up properly, so we might be using a default map. I'm going to do my best to troubleshoot that as we're going live, but it is what it is. And let's first take a look at the Lebanese army as they take over previously held IDF positions. It is what it is, man. Here you are. It's the Mark I Jackass right there. I'm just being funny. Just because you have to have a qualifying statement with everything. Just because you have to have a qualifying statement with everything nowadays, that had nothing to do with the Lebanese army. I just think it's funny. There's a jackass in the video. Let's move on. We've got footage from the IDF military. Up until very recently, there was still continuing to be plenty of footage. Most of you should be tracking by this point that a ceasefire deal is on the table and being worked. They are not in a ceasefire right now, if I understand correctly. That's my understanding. It could very well be wrong. My understanding is that the Security Council has essentially approved it, and it is now going up for government approval. So something to keep in mind as we go through some of this footage. In Lebanon, though, just because Israel has pulled back from Lebanon, at least most of the IDF troops, doesn't necessarily mean that targets aren't still being struck, as is the case here. This is a van that was struck. Don't have many details about who was in the van, what the van was doing, what it was struck with. The point being that Israel is and was at least still striking targets in southern Lebanon. I got one more video of that one for you. I think it's a little bit further away, but it does show potentially an impact here. Bad van? It's probably not doing something that they wanted the van to do. I know that much. Presumably. There's a little explosion there. Now for this next one, I'm going to take you guys to the map, and we're headed into Gaza. The other thing to keep in mind is that while the ceasefire is still under works and should essentially go into place here sometime soon, presumably, it's with Hamas. Okay? I did find it interesting. Words matter. Take this for what it's worth. I'm taking off my objective footage hat and putting on my observation hat as Ronnie. Words matter. Netanyahu placed 2 calls after the announcement of the ceasefire. The first call he placed to President Biden to update him on the situation. The second call he placed to President Trump to thank him for his assistance. There's a lot of back and forth over who gets credit from the United States for the ceasefire. And I think that's absolutely stupid. What matters is that there is a ceasefire. Just an opinion. Let's put the hat back on for the review of footage, and I'm going to take you to the map. We're headed to this location. Right here. That is a minaret. It's not there anymore. I'm going to show you why. This took place on or around the 14th. It is a Merkava. 2 Merkavas, sorry. Well, here you go. And it's gone. That tower there is part of a mosque structure. And something to keep in mind, though, as is evidenced by this next video, is Hamas does and is known to use mosques to operate out of. Here is a video of them doing exactly that. Not anymore, it isn't. You are not wrong. Correct. Multiple firearms there, unless one of them is a video camera. That looks like a firearm. You see one of those really super tall mounts that they have. I've seen a lot of footage of Hamas with AR patterned rifles and some kind of a riser on there underneath of the optic that, like a giraffe-necked person would have to be to use. Ronnie, Israel has just agreed to the ceasefire. Okay, great. So my understanding was that the Security Council had agreed, and then it was pending government approval. So there are multiple steps in that agreement. So if the government has now accepted that, that is an update since the information cut off for the stream. But what I was under the impression of, again, was that the Security Council had come to that agreement. Let's move forward. Here's an interesting one. Hamas hiding rocket launchers in a graveyard. I thought this was interesting. Shouldn't say rocket launchers. Well, it's a launcher that takes rockets. Why is it that only Ukraine is losing cities or towns? That's not to account for the, I don't know, 800 square kilometers of territory in Russia that Ukraine is occupying. But yes, Ukraine is losing towns. All right, let's bring it up. This next one that I have here is an ambush that was being set up and probably didn't go the way this guy thought it would. Let me log into the website so we don't get any ads. You should check out Funker 530 Premium so you don't get any ads. All of that support comes directly back to the Funker 530 team. But here's this ambush. This guy's like setting up, I don't know, in like an alley or something. He's right here. Some Al-Qassam Brigades guy. There's his rifle. I think this is potentially a grenade in his hand here or something. And it's gone. Grenade or spare mag. Yeah, something. Yeah, it's got something in his hand there. And let's head. This is an interesting video. This isn't combat footage. It's footage from a combat zone. But it kind of opens up the conversation, or at least the segue to the next section, which is going to be Syria. Relatively little footage coming from the IDF right now. But Israel, during their incursion into southern Syria, screwed that up, has been capturing all kinds of former Syrian army equipment, including tanks. That belongs in a museum. You got blocks and blocks of explosive reactive armor on that thing. Some launchers in there. Inside of it. It's interesting. Oh, no, those are shells. Yeah. The 125 millimeter. All right. Let's bring it back up. This is in Syria that you're seeing this here. And formally, so would this have been, but this is a video of the IDF. Just providing a little bit of context, moving through the area near the Al-Mantara Dam, which is in the Golan Heights. Now, we went over a part when Syrian Boogaloo 3 or 4, whatever number we're on at this point, kicked off. I mentioned that the IDF had taken positions on Golan Heights and effectively came out and said, we will never, ever leave Golan Heights again. Well, here is the IDF continuing to maintain a presence in the Golan Heights. All right, let's come back up. I'm going to pause here and check in on the support, and thank you guys very much for it. The One You Know 7, thank you for the $5. Hey, Ronnie, what's going to happen with the many IDF soldiers who say they won't go along with the ceasefire? I don't know. There's a bunch of footage of the celebrations in Gaza of Al-Qassam brigades flying their stupid green flags saying things like, we'll never stop fighting. We'll see what happens. We've seen ceasefires before in Palestine between Israel and Palestinians, and they break down typically pretty quickly. We'll see what happens. That's as far as I'll take that. Top Mod, thank you for the $1.23. Ronnie, Israel's just agreed to the ceasefire. Yeah, I think I responded to that one a little bit earlier. I'd be interested to know if it has made it through that second wave of approvals. Thank you very much for that. Sheba Cat, thank you for the $10. How do pickles celebrate their birthday? They relish it. Oof. Get out. No, don't stay. Thank you very much for the $10. That's a lot of dollars. And then Josh Earhart, thank you for the 3 months at Funker. Thank you for being a member here. Appreciate that. Let's move to Syria. We're going to primarily focus on the area around the Tishrin Dam with this. First, we'll be taking a look at a Turkish airstrike. This took place here. Along this road, this is effectively the road that'll take you all the way to the Tishrin Dam, which is there. We've seen quite a bit of footage coming from this area. We're actually going to return to that, and we're going to return to a video that we saw last week with a little bit of an update to it. So kind of closing out a story here. But we're going to start here. You're going to see some form of a Kurdish emergency vehicle. The quote said, the source said that it's an ambulance. It's got sirens. I don't know. My non-tactical vehicles in Afghanistan had sirens. I can tell you that they are blaring, though. A Turkish airstrike lands within smell distance of that vehicle. Here comes the video. No thanks. You can actually see the munition if you slow it down a little bit here. Okay, hold on. There we go. Let's turn the sound off because that's annoying. Turned the sirens off. Either that or it destroyed the siren. I don't know. Mortar or air munition? The report said airstrike. If we were to go back and take a closer look at that, it looks like it is large enough to be something from the air. Stop. There's your munition. It'd be a very huge mortar. Yes, it would. That is not a small munition. All right. Now let's swing up to the Tishrin Dam, and I want to start at this location, and I'm going to show you guys a video we covered last week. Okay? We're going here. Right up the road to there. It was a video of a very large grouping of civilian vehicles. Just before I showed you an additional video of presumably the people from that large grouping of civilian vehicles marching in protest towards the Tishrin Dam. They are Kurds. This is that video that I showed you where an airstrike, reportedly Turkish, hits very close to that large grouping of vehicles. We watched this last week. There's a reason I'm showing it to you again. Either Turkey, if these are both Turkish airstrikes, either they are purposefully whiffing this, or their munitions are minute of barn door. I think they're purposefully whiffing to minimize the damage that they do. Well, I have a follow-up video to this. I'm going to show you immediate aftermath inside of the convoy once that hit. Oof. We might have lost that one, folks. And that sucks. Let me see if I can grab it for you really quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Actually, I know how to grab it. Stand by. 60 seconds. Bing bong. Here we are. Nailed it. Nope. Almost there. I promise. Give me a second. Yeah, found it. I have multiple videos here. 4 total. Thanks very much for your patience. I just copied and pasted the wrong link. This is all immediately following that airstrike. Another one coming up for you here. And another. And then one more. Couldn't really tell what this guy's doing. Looks like he's shielding somebody. Ronnie, quick, what's the difference between a brigade and a division? A bunch of dudes. Yeah, division's bigger. All right, let's move to the next video that I have here. We have a bunch of footage, and I mean a lot. Let me show you guys the map here. I mean a lot of footage, and it's all more or less the same type of stuff, really from this vicinity. I picked out 2 or 3 of them for us to watch that I thought gave the best kind of laydown of what was happening. But there is a lot of activity on this right bank of the Euphrates. Again, the left and right bank being determined by which direction the water is flowing. So it is flowing to the south. You could call this the west bank, but the better term would be to use the right bank. So this being the Tishrin Dam, you have the Syrian Dam, the SDF, engaged very heavily with the Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army. And here is our first video. This is, I want to say, TFSA. Yep, sure is. Engaged with the SDF. Specifically, it takes place, I'll show you the video first, then I'll show you where it is on the map. Allahu Akbar, فرقة السلطان سليمان قاطع الشرطة لله الحمد الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر اقتحام عدة قرى على برج سرية. That took place here on the map. And then our next video is going to take place here. This is going to be SDF perspective. More drones in Syria. There was a super interesting video that I ran across. I didn't include it in tonight's show. That showed HTS, or Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, kicked back watching combat footage from Ukraine. Lessons are being taken from Ukraine. But these strikes are SDF, so Kurds, versus Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army. Each of these organizations, let me kind of stop and set a better stage here. Each of these organizations is an amalgamation of many different sub-factions and organizations. They are umbrella terms. if that makes sense. Here's the footage. I'm gonna turn that down. No, they had actual Ukrainian. Yes, yeah, some of them did. I gave you an example there. Like, you can't say, no, they didn't. They weren't watching Ukrainian combat footage because there's video of them doing that. I didn't say they didn't have Ukrainian SF dudes teaching them. We've actually covered that footage here before. I miss Doritos. Yeah, we haven't seen a good Hamas release in a little while. You know, you had the yellow Doritos, you had the green ones, and then of course the nacho Dorito, the red ones. I bet the SDF had Russian drone dudes. Well, hard to say. So, predominantly, support to the SDF historically has been from the United States. And the United States still occupies many of its positions in SDF territory. Now, there are certain factions within the SDF that the United States says that they do not support, but because of the inter-support of those organizations within the SDF, there's at least some likelihood that the munitions that the United States is providing to some of the other sub-factions of the SDF are making their way into those organizations of the SDF that the United States does not support. Let's move to an intermission. That's everything that I had for you from Syria. The key takeaway there was that the battle in and around Tishreen Dam is very, very heavy, very active, and it is an intersection point between the Kurds and the Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army. Now, the Turks, they don't see any of the Kurds as any different. None whatsoever. You got PKK, YPG, they don't see any of them any different. They call them all terrorists. The United States does not. The United States has some level of differentiation between those sub-organizations and factions. I've got a little bit of an intermission for you before we get into the next bit of footage, which we're already getting ready to move into our Ukraine footage. This is a C-130J Hercules. It's outfitted with the modular airborne firefighting system. Now, this pilot's going to big dick it and fly so low that his balls probably tickle the top of this vegetation here while he's dropping that red stuff, which basically is fire retardant, on top of the Palisades fire. I don't know who Elfie. So the first time I watched this, I was watching the captions. I was like, where the hell did these captions come from? And who the hell is Elfie? Look at this. Look at this altitude in a C-130J Hercules. Some of you out there will have been in a Hercules before, and I'll tell you that it already natively isn't the most stable flight in the world. It's not. So watching these guys basically navigate that thing so low you could throw a rock and hit it, especially with the way that those mountain ranges are up there and the way the wind blows and all that science shit that pilots know about, that's more impressive than you might think. Some of the footage coming from the pilots battling fires and from the firefighters on the ground and the volunteers providing support for the multiple fires throughout California, not just Palisades, is awe-inspiring, to say the least. Let's move into our Ukraine footage. Now, I mentioned earlier that I was having some difficulties with our map. We are, just as always, going to be using UA control map. I like that they keep it pretty updated, and it's pretty easy for me to find things in it. I'm going to do my best to open this one more time, and in the meantime, I'll check in on the support. Let's just see if that populated. No, it did not. All right, it doesn't want to work, so we're going to have to use the standard UA control map. It'll just change the way things look for us. Tommy, thank you very much for the $1.72. Appreciate that. Festive leaving the womb day. God damn it. Leaving the womb day. It's not my birthday, but thank you very much for the $1.74. Doug, thank you for the 28 months. That's so many months, man. We've come so far. So far, dude. Thank you for that. Tyler, thank you very much for the $10. Ronnie, you're looking like an absolute snack tonight. The whole meal, brother. The whole meal. Thanks very much for the 10. I appreciate you. Thank you again, the one for the 5 and Top Mod for the $1.23. We're going to start in Kherson for our Ukraine footage tonight. The very first is going to be here. Just to give you a little bit more insight. I think we're actually going to see two videos back to back. One is here, and then one is a little ways up here, about right there, of drone dropped munitions. We covered quite a bit of that last week. We're going to see some more of it this week. The first on a cyclist. This is a Russian drone. The next is going to take place a little bit down that road there. Specifically here. Can I go back? Nope. Yeah, see. I preferred it. Anyway, we're here. And this isn't our normal map. We were about up here. So a little bit further down that road. I'm connecting these two. I don't necessarily know that these two are connected. They just kind of make sense to connect. So keep that in mind. But a follow-up strike on a man or a person pushing their bicycle. Here you are. Pushing a bicycle. So the first one was on somebody riding a bicycle. Then further down that road, this person is pushing a bicycle. That looked like a civilian. Maybe. All right. Let's bring it up. And then we're going to move. We're not very far from there. We're staying in Kherson for a moment. We're moving to here. This little red dot. Right there, that bush. Scroll out. So we were just here. Now we're just sliding up to there. To this dot. And we're going to see another drone dropped grenade. Russian drone, once again. Here's the footage. So we're going to watch this one again, and I'll kind of show you who goes where, because it's a little confusing. There is somebody right inside of this bush. There. Big fluffy black coat. As the drone's approaching the area, there are, I want to say, 3 or 4 different people. So you got one here. He's going to bebop down this road. I want to say this is the guy that gets hit because this guy can be seen making his way into the building. So this guy gets to safety. This guy unasses the area down this alleyway. And I'm pretty sure this guy goes into the bush. Might have that backwards on the top, too. One of those two dudes goes into the bush, though. There's the blue jacket. This is the black jacket. Let's bring it up. We're going to move into Dnipropetrovsk. So that's a little bit off of the forward line, quite a bit, actually. I'll give you a direct location for that. A Russian strike at this dot. Well, the first video we're going to watch takes place at this dot, and then the Russian strike takes place at the next dot. I'm going to give you a little bit further up the line here. But let's zoom out. You can still see that dot. Just to give you a better understanding of where we are in Ukraine here. Zoom in. So this is the moment of the strike, or at least of one of the strikes. Coming up now.
Оу, пошла. Оу, пошла. Ебать, зашла. Пошли, осторожно, осторожно, уходим все. Уходим, блядь. Там полицейские, блядь. Сука. Сука. Уходим, блядь. Полицейские живые. Живые есть. Сука.
Something I noticed, though, when I first watched this, is there's a lot of discourse right now, you know, between pro-Russian sources and Ukrainian sources on what exactly was hit. I just want to point out a couple things here. First and foremost, the caution tape that you see in front of you along with that crater. That's a playground right there. I don't know exactly what was hit in this strike, but this isn't the first time that this area has been hit by something. Just an observation I made. Let's go back to the video.
Сука. Живые есть, полицейские где? В центре были, где полицейские? Сука, это пиздец. Уходим, быстро уходим все с домов, блядь! Быстро! Пострадавшие есть! Пострадавшие есть! Уходим, уходим с домов! Пострадавшие!
So he continues moving along, and he eventually arrives to, where were we? Right here. Discretion advised for this one, because there will be casualties present. He eventually arrives at this location, here, just outside of this building. I think a lot of people focused on this building, but this next video is going to show you an individual laying on the ground right here. This is immediately after the strike. Had I not had the initial strike video, we probably wouldn't be seeing this because I wouldn't be able to tie the two bits of context together. But discretion advised for this. Here you are.
Блять, скорую, зай, сюда машин, я хуй его знаю. Все, что есть, блядь, быстрее.
These Russian civvies, this is in Kryvyi Rih. This is in Ukraine. I hope none of those drones have audio or he's screwed. Most drones record audio at the operator. not at the drone.
Разговаривайте с нами, разговаривайте.
Эти женщины, они... Смотрите. Спокойно, спокойно.
Одна нога или две? Одна или две? Влад, одна нога или две?
Одна.
Блядь, скорую, зай, сюда машин, я хуй его знаю. Все, что есть, блядь, быстрее.
All right, let's bring it up. We're going to move to Zaporizhzhia. Kamyansky. Here. See some footage. So let's zoom out a little bit. This is going to be Russian shelling of Ukrainian positions. Most of you should be familiar, you know, at least generally with this area. There's Stepova, and this is that area of Ukraine's counteroffensive. But this is footage of Russian shelling of Ukrainian positions there. Multiple drones watching the area. ISR soak. I guess you could call that an ISR soak. I normally would associate ISR soak with like, Reapers, Predators, stuff like that. But I mean, when you can do that mission with a $2,000 drone, I don't know. I mean, this one has a really nice camera compared to some of the others. I think it's still ISR soak. The failed counteroffensive? Sure. Yeah. Let's move to the next one. I'm going to give you two locations for this one. Okay. First one's going to be here. Right there. Make note of where that dot is relative to the forward line of troops. The next one, I know it's hard to see, guys. We're not using our normal map. It's going to be here. Right up there on the forward line of troops. So the first dot was down here-ish, roundabouts-ish, kind of. Second dot is up there. What you're going to see is two Russian vehicles loading up troops, putting them in their vehicles, and moving towards the forward line of troops. And once they get to the forward line of troops, they both hit mines. Both vehicles hit mines. Here is the video. Here's these two vehicles loading up all of a lot of dudes. That's a lot of dudes for these two vehicles. First Vic, second Vic's going to try and bebop around them. Where there's one, there's two, though. Again, thinking back to the map for a moment, you are effectively looking at the forward line of the control area right here. Okay, let's bring it back up. Just read through the chat for a second. Let's move into Donetsk, specifically Toretsk. Now, there is a lot of footage coming out of Toretsk right now. I mean, a lot of it. More than the concentration of even geolocatable footage was massive. The problem is it's all drone footage, right? We've seen plenty of drone footage. We know that both Ukraine and Russia are actively using drones, both to their benefit. We've studied and established that TTP over and over and over again. The only reason that we would continue to watch that kind of stuff is if there's some form of new TTP, if it was, provided, a bunch of additional clarity. Words are hard, I'm sorry. And I went through every piece of it. I didn't see it. The one piece that I did see that was reported to be from Toretsk, which is now known to be held by Russians, was this video. This is not geolocatable, but it is one of those brown pants videos nonetheless. These are Ukrainians riding inside of a Cossack 7, which is a Ukrainian armored vehicle. And technically, it's still drone footage. Now, there's a reason I kind of let this roll a couple times. We oftentimes see a lot of drone footage where it ends right at impact or right at presumed impact. This is kind of exemplary of the likelihood that in at least many cases, that isn't necessarily going to have taken out the crew or the passengers of that vehicle, regardless of who it is that we're looking at. Now, when you're looking at a non-tactical vehicle, one of those Scooby-Doo vans, or they call them the loafs, right? The mystery machines. Probably would have had a different outcome. This is an armored vehicle, though. The same thing applies to tanks. We see lots of footage of drones coming in and banging on top of a tank, but we don't see a whole lot of the aftermath of that. Similar situation. This is evidentiary of an armored vehicle taking a head-on with an FPV drone. The crew is fine, at least to a certain extent. They have a lot of tinnitus. There's a lot of ringing right now. But they were able to survive it. That's going to apply whether it's, a BTR, Cossack, an MRAP. Something to keep in mind when you see that footage. Let's move on. We're going to be headed up into Russia. Now, there isn't a whole lot of footage that I wanted to show geolocatable. We'll have more footage that is likely Kursk in our general section tonight, but geolocatable, not a whole lot. I wanted to do a tour de Russia. Ukraine launched one of, in my opinion, its largest barrages of drones into Russia, targeting oil and fuel infrastructure. The first is going to be here. This is, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, and it's a super easy one. Kaluga Oblast. Kaluga? I don't know, man. But it's here. It's this location, and it is this quote-unquote oil depot. That was hit and is now on fire. Video for you here. Another one was hit in Tula 20 minutes ago. Oof. It was definitely their biggest. Is it? Okay. In Bryansk, this one probably not necessarily related to all of the drones. These were reported to be ATACMS. But here are some strikes in Bryansk. I actually had these chalked up for last week. Yeah, here you are. Either that or they came in just after the stream last week. I remember reviewing all this footage almost a week ago at a minimum. Keeping in mind that we only stream once a week here. You can hear the explosions in the background there. I've got another video for you here. And then we'll get back to more oil refineries or refueling stations. All in Bryansk. Again, reported to be ATACMS. But in Saratov, at the following location, here, at least this is going to be our point of view for a strike on this location. So this video is, where'd my dot go? Up here, where my mouse is. That's going to be the point of view we're viewing. This video is of this oil refinery going up in flames, and I have 2 videos of that, actually. Accidentally opened up a new tab. It's not okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, this is actually footage of the fire from that expanding. All right, another video of that, though. Here. Same location, or at least that. Oil depot, refueling depot, oil refinery. Debris. Voronezh. I'll show you on the map. Here's another, though. A lot of fuel infrastructure being hit by Ukraine all over Russia. Just to show you where that is relative to the forward line. That little dot all the way out here. Right there. And here's the video. I believe this one was the Rosneft fuel storage depot. Here you are. But per Russia, all drones were shot down. If that's the case, they were shot down into the presumed target. And that's cool. Okay, let's bring it up. I think I have another video of that same location here. Yeah, this is a little bit further away, just kind of shows, nobody tell Greta, just kind of shows the smoke coming off of that location there. Sheesh. But wait, there's more. Again, this was a planned and executed strike against multiple locations, all targeting oil and gas infrastructure. This isn't necessarily going to be, I'll give you a geolocation for it here. This is just going to show you how far into Russia some of these drones made it. We're going all the way to oh my God. Tatarstan. Don't judge me, guys. All right? But look how far into Russia that is. I'll show you the video for it now. Oop. Copy. Pasta. Found it. Here you are. Tartar Binks is probably the funniest thing. You can hear small arms fire in the background. You know, and I turned it up a bit. If I shut my mouth, you'll hear the small arms fire.
أنا برسه أنا еще один две их بля здесь будет походу сейчас
These things went on a journey. Think about that. Think about how far these made it into Russia. I find that to be very interesting. One of two things is probably possible on this. Either some very deep dive analysis has been done on where exactly Russia's anti-air is, and they're flying in dead space, or Russia's anti-air is absolute ass, and these things just kind of puttered their way in there willy-nilly without any real threat to them. Just two possibilities there, right? Not saying it is ass. I'm just saying it's one of two possibilities. What about in Rostov, though? We're going here. More infrastructure. Don't know exactly what that is, but it's on fire. Or, well, it got blown up. That's on fire. There's something on fire. That. But wait, there's more. What about in Leningrad, just to the south of St. Petersburg? Can anybody tell me why St. Petersburg would be at least somewhat significant outside of it just still being generally far, right? It's not close. It's all the way up there. But if we scroll all the way in here, here's the video. That's on fire. Putin's hometown, correct.
Блядь,
Oof.
вот это было жестко.
Бля, это пиздец. Ох, слышь, справа, вон там. Что-то уже
А,
прям
да,
дохуя, блядь.
справа
пошло.
что-то
If you listen, you
загорелось.
can hear what sound like cook-offs. If these, two idiots would stop talking.
Мне просто вот интересно, ну вот типа... ох,
Блядь,
нихуя
вот
себе,
это было
блядь.
жестко.
Бля, это пиздец. Ох, слышь, справа,
Чё?
вон там. Что-то уже
А,
прям
да,
дохуя, блядь.
справа
пошло.
что-то загорелось еще. Бля, зажигалку проебал. Может пойти попросить подкурить?
Кто там, блядь?
О, въебать. Бля, ну сильно въебать по идее не должно ничего.
This is the 2026 model. It's not even released yet.
Снесло нас. Это тебе не ядерная бомба. Хотя хуй знает, что там есть. А что это вообще такое? Это нефтеперерабатывающий какой-то или что? Смотри по карте.
Ну, блядь, с тем, что там очень охуительно горит, походу, ох, бля.
You can hear the guy flipping open a Zippo. American lighter, by the way. Well, at least it's probably a knockoff Zippo.
Походу, да.
Anyway, that's on fire. Let's move to our general section. This is going to be more footage from the Ukraine war. But I don't have a great understanding of geolocation for these. This first video isn't from Ukraine. There are photos from Ukraine that I want to show you. But first, in order for those photos to make sense, I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to show you a video of the United States Army operating the ENVGs, ENVG-B. These are effectively dual tube intensifiers, so night vision, with the added benefit of thermal. It creates a really interesting outline when you're looking through them, right? So this is not just intensifier tubes, the way you would have on normal night vision, but it also has thermal capabilities. This is not Ukraine. This specific video is United States Army using ENVGs or the AN PSQ-42s. Those are dope. Operationally, the only time they've been used operationally by the United States was during the fall of Kabul. However, there's a reason I showed that to you. I got 2 photos here. These are Ukrainians using ENVGs. These photos are from and out of Ukraine. If you ask me, it looks like they've been upgraded a little bit. Either that or what we're seeing here is just how cold it is in Ukraine right now and how much easier it is to outline heat signatures. But they would be considered like Generation 3 night vision plus thermal. We leave those in Afghanistan? No, I don't think we did. I doubt it. Probably not. Maybe. Possible. But I doubt it. I don't know. Those are in Ukraine, though. This could be a training environment. It does. This guy's shooting in the bottom right here. He's banging on something. This could be training. I don't know. I don't know the circumstance of the reason. I just thought it was interesting. Let's move on. Just saying, L3, if you need somebody to talk about these things and show them in real life, I'm here for you. Holler. This might be old. I don't know when this was released. We didn't cover it here, and we're not the Ukraine news show. We're the combat footage show. It is a drone strike on a open bed truck. Primarily wanted to show you this because of the type of vehicles we continue to see being used in Ukraine, primarily by Russians. Most of the footage that I see of Ukraine being struck with FPVs outside of in and around cities, and that because we did watch one last week of them being in a soft top truck, but it's typically not in an open field in a lot of instances. I'm not saying it doesn't exist because we've watched the footage here, but I see more and more footage of Russia using non-tactical vehicles in this type. I don't even know what that thing is. It looks like a go-kart with a bed strapped to the top of it. Don't know. It's about to get hit with an FPV drone. Discretion advised. Here's the footage. We left $7 billion worth of equipment on the withdrawal. I'm sure there was night vision. The question was about whether or not we left that night vision, which didn't even make its way to most troops until relatively late. It's only about 6 years old. So unless that was left specifically by, I think it was the 82nd that had it, that hadn't even made its way across the force yet. So the chances of that are relatively minimal. Let's bring it up. At that point, it's just showing aftermath footage. We've got some footage of the Ukrainian Omega team, Omega Sof, using javelins still to engage Russian armor. Every time the javelin fires, that first little drop off there, it gets me. There's still Russian armor? You're looking at it. But yes, there is. More from Omega. This one's an interesting one. They have outfitted mortars to be fired by RPGs. A little bit of creative editing here. I can see how they kind of connected these dots, though. All you would need is just a second drone, or a drone to be up over the air. So obviously you have two separate recording devices. And there are dudes running around there. There's a guy right here. I saw a bunch of comments. There's nobody there. Gotta look. Yeah. All right. Let's bring it up. I've got some pretty hectic close quarters assault here from a Russian POV. I don't have a great location of where this takes place. I don't even know how many dudes are inside of the building. And unfortunately, you have both music and combat audio mashed together in just this mix of sound. So we're going to keep the sound off for it. Here is the video. Here you go. Ronnie, do you love Trump? No. I don't love any politician. Why would I love a politician? All right, let's bring it up. And then we have this video, which once again mashes combat sounds with music, but it is from a Ukrainian film perspective of basically hucking 40 millimeter at presumably Russian positions. Don't know how many people are on the other side of this. They're firing pretty far away at a tree line. I'll try and point that tree line out. Here's the footage. Speaking of foom, I'm going to play some squad tonight. And you guys are all welcome to join me on the follow-up stream. We have a BM-21 grad doing BM-21 grad things after it gets hit by an FPV drone. It is a Russian BM-21 grad. It was a Russian BM-21 grad. Oh, I dropped my pen. Any survivors? I'm sure they're fine. All right, this next one, I'm going to give you a bunch of caveats ahead of this. It's got a bunch of North Korean flags all over it. I have no idea if it's North Koreans. It was reported to be North Koreans, but it is what has been described as a quote-unquote wave. There's a lot of discourse about whether or not this constitutes a wave or not, because I think a lot of people have in their mind enemy at the gates. That is historically and traditionally what has been considered wave tactics. Something I've talked about before is that wave is no longer really the same, but you can still kind of describe it as one. It's just a smaller wave, wherein they send one and it gets chewed up. They send another one, it gets chewed up. But as it's getting chewed up, 1 and 2 survive and keep inching forward. Those are the tactics that are being used by both Russia and the North Korean troops that most certainly are fighting in Kursk. I don't know what to tell you, right? But this has a bunch of North Korean flags on it. It's essentially a bunch of black dots running across a field. I have no idea. I will tell you that they ran into some artillery. And I do apologize. Well, I'm not going to apologize for it because I didn't edit the video. Sorry for showing you something that's going to, if you're epileptic, turn the stream off. Hurry up. So you can see the artillery marks now in the snow, and then all of these other marks there, and some light explosions, and, well, I shouldn't say explosions, like there's some dust clouds popping up. So whether or not they were North Korean or they were Russian, a bunch of troops coming from the Russian side towards the Ukrainian side encountered artillery and started taking casualties. It is what it is. Let's move on. This is an interesting video. I added this one right at the last minute. Practice your skeet shooting.
Підерський! По нам не розрив, 1 плюс стволки, як прийняв. Я в'їбав FPV, як прийняв.
2 shots. Second shot. It's actually kind of impressive. That was not a slow moving drone. That was not one of the floaty ones that just kind of hover in there, and that was a mover.
Плюс стволки, як прийняв. Я в'їбав FPV.
Let's move on. Actually, that was our second to last video for the night. We're already closing out. It's been about an hour and 15. Tonight went fast, guys. That's going to just about do it. The last video for the night actually does come from Ukraine, and I don't know if it's funny for you. You know, I don't know if it's like a gallows humor thing. Nobody dies. Nobody gets hurt. It is from Ukraine. It does have to do with drones. I thought it was kind of humorous. I don't care. But that's going to be it for tonight's show. Next week, there won't be a show, nor will there be, holy wow, nor will there be a gaming stream on Tuesday nights that I do over there. Because I'll be at SHOT Show and getting whatever plague they decide to inject everybody with when you go to SHOT Show every year. But there should be quite a bit coming from our Funker 530 Twitter on SHOT Show, being at SHOT Show and all the things that we're seeing. And I'll get the chance to see a bunch of my friends, and it should be a good time like it is every year. Thanks very much to our sponsor for tonight, Venture Surplus. You too can get 10% off of your chicken burrito bowl MRE by using our code, which is Funker530. There's a link in the stream description, and I think I put one in the chat as well. Use that link, use our code, get 10% off. That's for you. We don't make money when you do that. But they're going to have everything from, I say the same thing every time. Assault packs, I don't know, pouches, first aid. I continue to hammer home first aid. Everybody should have like 10 first aid kits strewn throughout your house that you know where they are, you know what they have in them. They have North American Rescue first aid kits. They're literally the best that you can buy. Go buy one. If you don't have one, if you don't have 10 of them, go buy one once a quarter until you have 10 of them. That's my suggestion for the night. One more video for you, though. Thanks very much for being here. Thank you for all the support. Mosen, thank you for gifting 5. John, thank you for the $5. Ronnie, do you love me? I love all of you. I just don't love politicians. I don't like any. I don't like any politician. There are politicians that say things sometimes that I agree with, but they're all politicians. They're all the same to me. Thank you very much for the $5. Demo, thank you for the 17 months as a beast. John Maxwell, thank you for the $6. Jay Turner, thank you for gifting 10 members. Holy crap, dude, and welcome to the Funkers, everybody. John, thank you for the $5. Before that, Ronnie, pronouncing Polish and Hungarian town names went no. No, I speak 2 languages, English and bad English. It is what it is, man. I'm trying. At least I am trying. It's just not working. All right. Jay Turner, thanks for your membership. Ohms, Doug, thank you again. Thank you all. The last video reminds me, that gif of the little kid that runs into the room and he's like, whoa, and turns around and runs the other way. That's what this reminds me of. I'm out of here. I'll see you on the follow-up stream if you want to come play squad with us. We'll be playing on the Replomacy server. They've given us a home for the FitLocker community over there in my gaming stream where we've raised over $70,000 for veteran charity, and I'd love to have you. Anyway, good night. Go be great and stay informed.
Текайте, 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 текайте.
Вот, сейчас.
Да, да. Сейчас ударит его на повороте.
Так а вон домой тут уже, да?
He gone.
Ой, это уже